showing you how I make my bait tanks for my bait shop that can hold buku baits, all the baits that you'll ever need. We're gonna be making these, that way we can actually have a good stock and storage of bait, not constantly on the water wasting our time trying to catch bait. This is a great way for people who live next to a lake, somebody who has a pond in their yard, anything like that. You're gonna be able to keep a lot more bait alive for a lot longer. Now, the one that I'm doing is for a shallow pond, so we're just gonna stick legs of PVC into the pond and attach the bait tank on top of that. But if you live next to a lake and you can't do that, you know, something that's deep where you can't get those legs in the ground, I'm gonna show you how you can make it float and it'll work just fine.
We're gonna begin here with cutting 16 equal pieces of pipe. It doesn't really matter how long they are as long as they're equal pieces because it's gonna be a rectangular square shape. We're gonna be putting T's in between some of the pieces and starting to form one of the walls. It's not really gonna make sense right now, early in the video, but as we start to erect the walls, you're gonna start seeing how this is actually going to come together. Okay, so we now have 4 of our horizontal supports made. We're going to go ahead and make our other 4 supports to go ahead and make that square rectangular shape. Now, you need to pay notice of where the vertical supports are and where my T's are at. All the T's have to be in line and everything has to be square and symmetrical and pretty.
All right, so after getting this thing pieced together, I noticed a couple things I'm gonna have to change or that I think could be better. Is that bottom piece on backwards? Why is that like that? The piece is shorter. Okay, so a couple things that I noticed need to be changed. So I don't know where I messed up, but apparently this needs to be a little bit longer to line up with this T. I'm gonna drive pipe into the pond and then I'm gonna attach this T to the pipes and I'm gonna make the pipes right here deep enough and long enough to where I keep my net about 4 or 5 inches out of the water. I can get pipe and fittings another day. What we're going to do is start working on building our nets for this. We're going to use our charcoal fiberglass screen, 36 inches. We're just going to roll it out and start stapling it down the seams. And we're going to staple it with just a normal stapler. And then we'll start making our dividers. But for now, since we're not putting it in the pond today, we're just gonna get our sides and bottom laid out and stapled together.
All I'm doing now is making sure that I have about 4 or 5 inches of overlap over the fish tank and over each sheet of the screen because we want to have a nice thick seam that we can staple down with no problems.
All right, now the screen's covering the entire bottom of the trap. You want about a 2 or 3 inch overlap between your screens. We're just gonna take our stapler, pull these seams together, start on one end and just staple it all the way down.
Now keep in mind whenever you're stapling the seam, you don't want to pull your screen over the edges of your fish trap. You want to have plenty of seam over all the edges of the fish trap at all times. That way that you can, once we get further along, you can staple your screen and have no problems making a big thick seam. You're going to want more than less. You can always go back and cut some off. So just follow that seam line down. Make sure you don't miss any parts where the fish can escape.
All right, whenever you're done with it, it should look something like this. We have a nice seam going all the way down. What I did to make it a little bit more secure was before I stapled it, I took both seams like this and folded it over. And I stapled down the fold. After I folded, I stapled down this line. You can see that. And I think that's gonna give us some more protection so our bait doesn't get out. All right, now we're gonna start wrapping around the outsides. And we're actually not gonna staple the bottom on. We're just gonna make the floor and the sides. And then once we get to the pond, we're gonna staple it all together. That way we can actually get it there because it's so big we can't get it in the back of the truck.
Build the walls of this fish tank, what I did was pre-stretched out the screen, as you can see here, to the corresponding side that it's gonna go to. And then I just stapled a nice thick seam all the way down and made sure I gave myself plenty to work with.
All right, so we have the sides around the net. We don't have anything secure yet because we have to be able to break it down and bring it to the pond. But basically, what we're gonna do is wrap the top of the net around. Once we have everything in place, make another seam like we did with everything else. Strap it all the way down, do the same thing on the bottom. Connect our 2 seams on the bottom like so. And we'll be out there at the pond putting it up. Once we get out there, what we're also gonna do after we have everything fastened is we're gonna take dividers and we're gonna have 4 dividers running along this pipe. And we're gonna make a seam here, just like this, staple it all the way down. We'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4 different rows right here for different types of bait. That way we'll be able to keep everything separated and nice and organized. Okay, everybody, we are back at the pond. We have all of our missing pieces that we needed. We went ahead and replaced these T's with X's. That way we can stick them into the pond, added some more vertical supports, finished our dividers, and we went ahead to secure this. We just wrapped it around, created a seam. We did the same thing all around, just pinched everything together, stapled it, made new seams. Another thing we did, as you can see, we added Flex Seal to this. The reason we did that is so these staples don't rust. This is going to create a barrier over the staples and keep them from rusting. It's going to last a lot longer this way. So we'll see y'all whenever we get it in the pond. All right, everybody, we have the bait trap in the water. We are ready to start stocking this trap with bait. As you can see, I added one more final detail. I Flex Sealed noodles onto the screens. That way the dividers would float across and the fish won't be able to cross through them whenever the water rises. This was a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, very time consuming. But if you wanna keep your bait in your pond, this is super effective, everybody. I would highly recommend it. Make sure you follow me on the next video where we're going to be stocking this bait trap with all of our bait that we're going to be selling. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good business. Tight lines, everybody.